I've ever said was nothing at all. But silence isn't just golden, it's lethal. You've been told to speak up to gain respect. The truth, the real power move is saying less. Today, I will show you why shutting your mouth might be your super. Man, I am screwing this up this morning. I apologize. I'm tired. Glenn Lawrence kept me up late last night talking to me. He's dealing with a lot of stuff right now. Anyway, I've led men diffuse conflict and flipped entire rooms with nothing but silence. Silence speaks louder than you ever could. And let me prove it.
We're going live.
We'll do it live.
This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
Oh, that was god-awful. That's supposed to be a solid hook, and I screwed that up royally. Oh, well. That's what happens when you have a live show, guys. You can't go back and edit it. Anyway, it's been an interesting couple of days. How's your week going so far? Chat? It is, in fact, hump day again. Real hump day is Friday. Nurse Chick knows what I'm talking about. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer, and I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is that it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Let me ask you this. You ever found yourself in an argument where the more you explained, the worse it got? Or you said something in the moment and immediately wish you hadn't? Has that ever happened to you? I've been there. And what I've learned is that silence can do what no amount of words ever will. Most people fear silence. It feels awkward, uncomfortable, like something's wrong. But what if I told you that silence is where the power is? That silence, well placed, intentional, and controlled, is the tool that separates men who command respect from men who are getting ignored. Today, we are diving deep into why silence works better than speech. We'll explore how it changes relationships, shifts power in conflict, and helps you lead without ever raising your voice. And if you stay until the end, I'll show you how silence can turn chaos into control, attraction into magnetism, and how mastering this one concept might be the most powerful shift you ever make. But before we get into it, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday without fail. If you guys are in the chat right now, sound off. I want to hear from you guys, okay? Even if it's your favorite emoji, it doesn't matter. All that kind of stuff boosts us in the algorithm. If you guys have a genuine question about whatever it is I'm talking about, go ahead and ask it in the chat. I can bring it up on the screen. It would be better if you sent that as a super chat. I don't always see your questions, but I always see the super chats. So if you have a serious question you want me to answer, consider sending that as a super chat. And then also consider just sending super chats if you find value in these episodes, because that supports this show probably more than anything else. So let's talk about why saying less often means more. Now, there's this concept that I was reading about in the Married Red Pill subreddit. And this guy had a post on what he called Occam's STFU. And we can't say the actual word because we're not at the 8-minute mark, right? But you know what STFU means, right? If you guys don't know what it means, can someone sound off in the chat with what STFU means? Because I can't say it. We still have 4 minutes. We're 4 minutes left until I can start speaking like an adult. But the idea here is that fewer words is more impact. And what he was basing his post on was the concept of Occam's razor, right? So Occam's STFU is based on Occam's razor. What's Occam's razor? I'm glad you asked. That's where there are competing theories or explanations for something. And so it's the belief that the simplest one is probably the best and probably the most accurate, right? So with Occam's STFU, the concept is the less you say, the better it will be, right? So the fewer words you use, the less room for the less room for misinterpretation. Think about that. Have you ever said a whole bunch of word salad and people on the other end, the receiving end, totally took it all wrong? They got the complete wrong concept. And then you're like, wait. No. That's not what I meant. And then you go and explain it with even more words. And then it just becomes even more confusing. Has that ever happened? I know guys at my day job that do that. Like they will really use a whole lot of word salad, a lot of images, a lot of pictures, and they're trying to explain something that's very simple. And they end up overcomplicating it. And you're like, I'm just confused. What are you even talking about right now? Because more words creates more confusion. So the less you say, it's actually better. If you can be more concise and direct, you'll actually be a better communicator. And then there's also this concept that confidence comes through brevity. If you'll find that people who know what they're talking about can explain it simply. They don't have to overcomplicate things. Think about that for a minute. I one time heard that people who are really smart, people that really understand the subject, they can explain it, especially if it's a really complicated subject, like let's say nuclear physics or nuclear fission or something, or quantum physics. Let's say that. Something that's complicated, they can explain it in simple, easy to use terms that like a 5-year-old can understand because they know it so well that they can adapt it to different people's understanding, their levels of understanding. And if you can't do that, then you probably actually don't know the subject well enough. If you have to use $30 words to explain something that could be explained even more simply with $5 words, you know what I mean? So anyways, powerful men, they don't need to ramble. They can get to the point with less words. And you got to think of something. In normal everyday conversations, at work, in your relationships, out in the street, talking to the guy at the gas station, you're not in court. You're not in court. You're not trying to persuade a jury of your peers, right? So you don't have to you don't have to over explain. You don't have to over justify everything. In fact, man, I am really red. I've been out walking a lot lately though. Anyway, in fact, if you think about it, for strangers on the street that you're arguing with, strangers on social media that you're arguing with, you don't have to say shit. We're past the 8-minute mark. I can say that. You don't have to say anything to these people. Why are you explaining to these people? Why are you trying to persuade strangers? Fuck them. Who cares what they think? You're not in court. You're not in court. You don't have to over justify everything. Not everyone has to agree with you. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Let's talk about how men and women talk differently, right? Men and women absolutely communicate differently. This is why communication is not the key to a healthy relationship. Men and women speak in different languages. And half the time, the average person that's not trained on proper effective speech in communication or effective communication in relationships, if you're not trained on any of that stuff, everything that you think is communication is bullshit. It's just hurting you more than it's helping you. Right? Even some of the communication books out there for relationships are garbage. In fact, I just reviewed one this morning on social media. So I'm in a community called Pubby where I get access to a lot of books, a lot of new books, so that I can review them, right? And then I share my books and people can review my books and stuff too. It's just a way for authors to sort of, get more exposure. And I just read Communication Skills That Work for Couples by Jamie Hart, and I just did a review on it, and it was painful, painful to go through that book. In fact, I posted this on Facebook this morning. You'll see it later on Instagram and Twitter. I had scheduled it out at a different time, but I took a picture of the book cover and I circled the guy in it. The guy is sitting like a woman. He's got his legs crossed. He's got two hands around his cup of coffee, like it's all warm and cozy. And he's just having a girly talk with his girlfriend. And that's the message that blue-pilled communication books tell you to be. Be more like a woman, right? Communicate more like a woman, not like the masculine leader of the relationship, right? That's why relationships are broken. That's why the divorce rate is high, right? They've been telling us that for 60 years. Communicate more like this. Be more vulnerable. Be more emotionally available, right? Be more safe and secure. Watch your tone, all this kind of shit, right? And you'll notice that the divorce rate's only gone up. It's only gone up. If this shit worked, we wouldn't have the divorce crisis that we have now. Shit don't work. So here's the thing. The blue-pilled methodology when it comes to communication, it's all about how women operate in communication, right? It's men operate more functionally, women operate more emotionally. Okay. So women talk to connect, men talk to solve problems. Like we're there to, okay, what's the problem? All right, here's the solution, right? Women talk just to emote and how do those feelings make her feel and how do the words coming out of her mouth make her feel. And it's all about emotions and processing those emotions, right? One of the guys in Beer Club just shared something fascinating. It was a video on Brother John from Beer Club. One of the brothers named John for Beer Club. They shared this video from Instagram where the guy was talking about two different schools of psychology. We have Sigmund Freud's school of psychology, and then we had this other guy's name. I can't even think of the guy's name. If John, if you're watching right now, sound off in the chat. I can't remember what the guy's name is. Anyway, the two schools of thought, one was Sigmund Freud's, and basically our whole culture and our whole therapy system is based off of the school of Freud, which talks about talking about your feelings and your childhood traumas and processing your childhood traumas. And the thing about that model is that it's better for business, but it's not actually good for solving people's problems, right? And so what happens with that method is that you just keep revisiting shit in your past. You never quite resolve it. You got to always keep digging back. So basically you're stuck in a cycle of going through therapy, talking about your feelings instead of actually doing something about it. You're never actually taking any action. And so you're just stuck in this therapy process that never gets resolved. And they just keep you coming back for more, buying more sessions. Whereas this other guy's school of thought was like, yeah, the past is a good learning opportunity, but let's focus on the present and how we can move forward, which is a lot of like what I espouse, what I teach, and it basically is what they found is that Freud has you communicating like a woman, never actually solving the problem, but you feel better about it, right? This other guy's like, fix the fucking problem, and then you don't have to come back to therapy anymore. That's the difference between how men and women communicate. Yes? Okay, cool. So women talk to connect, men talk to solve. Silence preserves that polarity. So the less you talk, the more actually it keeps that tension going in the relationship, keeps that good tension, keeps that going in a relationship, because now the less you say, the more she's got to wonder about you, the more she's got to dig out about you, the more she's got to dig out about you, the more invested she feels, the more connection you're going to have. It's been scientifically proven that women are more attracted to men whose feelings are unclear. Right? You could Google that. Right? I learned that from Corey Wayne, but you could Google it, and when you Google it, like scientific studies are like the top of the list. You know what I mean? And so how do you create that mystery? How are you unclear about your feelings? Well, if you don't say anything, she doesn't know what you're thinking, right? Boom. And if you're over verbalizing, right? If you talk too much, well, you're basically feminizing yourself emotionally. You're basically acting like a woman, right? If you're emoting all the time, you're venting. Do you ever like to just vent? You're basically acting like a woman, right? Because that's what women do. Women vent, right? They have to express all their emotions verbally and then think about how that makes them feel and how the words coming out, that's how they process their emotions. You're acting like a woman when you're over verbalizing. Paul, aren't you over verbalizing now? I got a podcast, brother, and I got to fill up an hour. Okay. It's an art. Mystery is magnetic. Don't kill it with constant commentary, right? A lot of guys talk too much. I definitely talk too much. I am guilty of that. But as I've said on previous podcasts, if Nurse Chick talked more, I could talk less. But if I don't talk, then no one's talking in the relationship because she never talks. That's why she's so great. Paul, that's terrible. It's terrible. Over-explaining kills influence. When you talk too much, people sense anxiety, not clarity. Have you ever been in a meeting with someone who really just spins off a lot of words because they're trying to sound important, but you can clearly tell that they don't do shit all day? Have you ever been in a meeting like that? When you talk too much, people sense that anxiety and they're not getting clarity from you. But if you can keep things short, succinct, and to the point, people are like, oh, this guy's, it almost gives off the impression that you're too busy to be worrying about stuff like this. You're not going to over-explain yourself, right? I'm too important to over-explain myself, right? Try that in a meeting next time. The less you say, the more people wonder what you're thinking, right? That creates that mystery that we were talking about. Oh, you know what? That's going to something else. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing, but that's still true. Long-windedness reads as insecurity. If you're someone that's just really over-explaining something that's a very simple thing, people actually pick that up as you're being insecure. It actually comes across as a very insecure move. And you're probably doing it because you're insecure. You think that, oh, if I just add more words to explain this, people will understand me better. And then you know that they're not getting it because you're not explaining it right. You know you're not explaining it right. So that creates a spiral of insecurity. You're like, fuck. I'm digging myself into a hole here. Just shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, right? Learn to say the thing once, then let it land. Now, Thor talks about this in A Dominant Masculine Presence. He talks about this also in his new book that just came out recently, The Superhero Inside, right? Which it just dropped on Audible yesterday, and I did the narration for it. Guys, if you haven't listened to The Superhero Inside, it's a part of the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence book series. The Superhero Inside talks about this. Say something, have confidence in it, and then shut the fuck up and let it land. Don't be afraid of having a pregnant pause after a sentence. Because if you do that, if you add that little pause at the end, it gives it a chance to really resonate with the people that you're saying it to. It's more powerful. Now, it doesn't work so well on social media because people have the attention spans of a fucking squirrel. So any kind of pregnant pause like that, I typically have to cut out. So, because as soon as there's a pregnant pause in a short video, people are scrolling, right? People are scrolling. Anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying this. Follow me on social media. The links are in the description. I'm on all the good platforms. Do get on the email list. If you're not on the email list already, go to list.comeonmanpod.com. Get my ebook, She's Made You Weak. It's all about the betatization process and how attraction erodes over time. I also add a whole bunch of, if you go to this link, list.comeonmanpod.com, it's my ultimate game package or whatever I called it. But it's got all sorts of freebies in there. You get free stickers, right? Free stickers. If you don't want the stickers, just put don't want stickers in the address field. I won't waste a stamp on you. But I'll mail you stickers. You get the ebook. You can download immediately. You get free chapters from Get Her to Fuck You Again, free chapters from from the Essential Skills of a Masculine Presence Psychology Paradigm. You get a free chapter from Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, which is all the books that I have out. I have 3 books available on Amazon and Audible. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, we're talking about being silent, though, right? Talking less. We're effectively talking about effective communication in relationships. That really speaks more to my book, Get Her to Fuck You Again. Let me play a commercial for that, and then we'll get back to the topic today.
Are you tired of the dead bedroom? Wondering what happened to the passion, the connection, and the spark? Well, here's your answer. Introducing Get Her to Fuck You Again, a red pill guide to fix a dead bedroom, now on Amazon. This isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about real strategies that work. If your wife has stopped being intimate with you, it's not because the love is gone. It's because the attraction is gone. And that's fixable. This book will teach you the skills to lead your marriage, rebuild your confidence, and become the man she can't stop thinking about. 3 reasons to get this book. 1. It breaks the cycle. You'll learn how to stop doing the same things that are killing her attraction and start doing the things that reignite it. 2. It's practical and proven. With clear, actionable steps, you'll build yourself into the man you were always meant to be. 3. It works for men like you. Paul Bauer has helped hundreds of men just like you fix their dead bedrooms. And now, it's your turn. Don't let another day go by feeling frustrated and disconnected. Go to Amazon right now and buy Get Her to Fuck You Again. Read it, apply it, and watch your marriage transform. The connection isn't gone forever. You just need the roadmap to get it back. And this book is it.
All right, we got a whole bunch of comments here. A lot of guys in the house. Nurse Chick says, "Good morning, gentlemen. Happy hump day." Nurse Chick always gets one of these.
So naughty.
She's so naughty.
I'm gonna come.
You know it. You know it. Error time. And then we do have, let's see here. CW says, "Beer Club Bros ready for the meetup tomorrow?" Yes, we have our monthly meetup tomorrow, because next week I'm going to be in Canada. I would have done it next week. That's typically when I do it. I do it on the Thursdays that Nurse Chick goes home. But because Nurse Chick and I are going to be in Canada next week, we have to do it tomorrow. So Beer Club Hangouts tomorrow night. Get in Beer Club. We'll talk about that in a little bit. David sent $11 super chat. Do you recommend shut the fuck up when thinking about how to Luca? Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to shut the fuck up most of the time during Luca, right? You're applying the 80-20 rule during Luca, and your 20% of communication is really just asking clarifying questions, right? So you're not saying anything. You're not offering anything about your thoughts or feelings. You're just listening to what she's saying and, okay, let me get this straight. You're feeling upset and neurotic because of X, Y, and Z. Do I have that? Do I understand that right? You're not saying anything about yourself. You're just talking about her. So even when you're talking, you're shutting the fuck up. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's going to get me demonetized. He is a Beer Club brother. I'm going to give him the shaking booty video for that one.
Moving closer to the line. Thank you, you're the best. Party on, we never rest.
Let's see. Oh, Adler. That's the guy's name. Yeah. So Erkin says Carl Jung. No, not Carl Jung. It was Adler. Adler was the more red pilled, psychoanalyst, therapist guy. And then Erkin also says, where is he at here? Hold on. He said something funny. I thought it was great. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah. Nurse Chick never talks. You're already in heaven. Look, if there was such a thing as a unicorn, Nurse Chick would be the closest thing to it. Yeah. She don't fucking talk. She cooks all the time. She just does everything I tell her to do. She, she puts out. It's great. It's fucking wonderful. Yeah. She rides motorcycles with me. It's fucking fun. All right. God, it's lighting, man. There we go. It's weird. Okay. Let's talk about how silence builds authority and attraction, right? Think about this. Curiosity is greater than clarity. Curiosity is greater than clarity. Silence tends to draw others towards you because it creates a vacuum. You know who is really good at this? If you guys, I'm a pro wrestling fan, as you guys know. Jake the Snake Roberts, pro wrestler from the late 80s. Actually, I mean, he was a wrestler in the 70s too, but 70s, 80s, early 90s. Jake the Snake Roberts was phenomenal at this. He would speak, but he spoke with very few words, a lot of pregnant pauses, a lot of clarity. He wasn't loud. A lot of wrestlers like Hulk Hogan were loud, like, you better take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother, right? Like really loud. But Jake the Snake, he would talk like this. He would get down really low. He would use a lot of pauses. He would really let his words sink in. And that low tone and those pauses really caused the viewer to stop what they're doing and go, wait a second, what's this guy saying? And because he was so low, they had to almost lean in a little bit to hear him. You see how that works? It draws people towards you, creates a vacuum. The less you say, the more they wonder, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? Have you ever had your girl ask, hey, what's bothering you? What are you thinking about? It's because you're silent. People they can't stand it. So usually what their go-to is, what are you thinking about? Right? All of a sudden they start caring. They start caring about what you're thinking about. And then you still use this to your advantage. The less you say, the more mystery you keep, the more they want to try to dig it out of you, right? You want to feel irresistible? Leave something unsaid. Leave something unsaid. You can't vent your way into respect. You can't vent your way into respect. Every time you complain, you bleed status. Every time you complain, you bleed status. Think about that for a minute. How often do you complain about stuff and then don't do anything about it? You know who does that a lot? Guys in dead bedroom situations. I see it all the time. I see it all the time on in Facebook groups. I see it in Reddit groups. People just bitching and moaning and not doing fuck all about it. Right? That's why I started putting out videos saying, if you haven't taken the initiative to grab a book and read the book, don't call me. Don't call me. Don't call me. You're going to waste both of our times. Right? Get the book, start applying it. You'll know what I'm about. And then when we get on a call, like, you'll be familiar with what we're going to talk about. You just need help with it. Right? But you're actually showing me that you're willing to do some work. You know, I can't, it hurts my heart when people pay good money for a program that will work, and then they don't do any of the work that I give them. You know, like every week I'm like, hey, did you get a chance? Did you do this? Oh no, I didn't have time to do that. Like, it takes 10 minutes a day. You didn't have time. You didn't have 10 minutes. Like, okay. Right. So you're just going to complain about what happened this week and you didn't do anything about it. You didn't spend 10 minutes working on this stuff. You know what I mean? Every time you complain, you bleed status. Emotional dumping does not equal connection. It actually kills attraction. This is where blue pill ideology, it's not really ideology, blue-pilled thinking, blue-pilled teaching is wrong. It's fundamentally wrong. Because when they are talking about being vulnerable, they're talking about opening up emotionally. And the idea is that it's going to create a deeper connection. But in a heterosexual relationship between men and women, it fucking kills it. It fucking kills that attraction. Because when you open up and you're more vulnerable, you actually come across as weak, needy, validation seeking. And her evolutionary psychology just can't deal with it. And she's like, I don't know why, but this guy just gives me the ick now, right? Even though she's supposed to want that and she's supposed to care about that, and she thinks that's what she wants, that's not what she responds to. Okay. So replace talking about your problems with solving them, either in silence with a good group of men, right? Join the beer club. They'll help you solve your problems. It's a good place for guys to get together. Guys solve problems, right? If you bring a problem to beer club, you'll have 50 solutions in your face. You just need to pick one. Right? But if you're just talking about your problems and you're not doing anything about it, you come across as weak and you're bleeding your status. Even if you find yourself talking about your problems with your wife or your girlfriend, like, it's not the end of the world, but just make sure that you're tacking a solution on the end of that. Don't bring her your problems, bring her solutions, right? Have that mentality. Try to lead by actions, not through arguments, right? Behavior tends to build your frame, right? If you're leading through actions, you don't have to say anything, okay? But if you're explaining every step that you're doing, you're telling her about everything you're doing, you're actually going to shoot yourself in the foot. One thing that I fundamentally disagree with in No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover, phenomenal book, by the way. Like, I highly recommend that book. But there's only really like one big thing that I don't like about his book. And one of the things is he talks about when you're going through the No More Mr. Nice Guy process, he says, confide in your wife or girlfriend about it. Let her know what you're working on. The problem with that is that it's the observer effect. It's why you can't red pill women, right? As soon as you explain that you're trying to work on this stuff and that you're doing this stuff, she's going to start testing you even more. She's not going to believe it's really you. Anytime you work on yourself to try to do any kind of self-improvement, like, the people closest to you don't believe it's you. And women especially will test you. They'll throw little barbs at you. They'll amp up their shit tests because they want to make sure that, oh, it's not, is this that bullshit that your book's telling you to do? Is that what the book said to say? Right? And if you don't know how to handle that, you're going to fail. You're going to start over-explaining yourself and whatever. So it's better to just work on this stuff on your own and just show through actions who you are now, who you're becoming. She might still go, I don't understand what's going on. He's acting different. I like it. I don't know quite what's going on. But she's not going to go, oh, he's reading a book. It's all bullshit, right? She's going to go, I like this. She's going to see the behavior and respond to the behavior, right? So you don't need to talk about it. Just be about it, right? What does Rollo say? Demonstrate, don't explicate. Okay, same thing. You want to assert your standard by living it, not discussing it. That's where boundaries come in. That's where removing your time and attention comes in. You don't have to say anything. There's a really good post by Archwinger, the legendary Archwinger, and he basically talked about how communication is validation-seeking behavior, right? Especially if you do it using blue pill methodology, it's validation-seeking behavior, right? If your woman's like absolutely disrespecting you, and I'm not talking about playful shit tests, right? I'm talking about she's disrespecting you. He says, don't talk about it. Don't talk, walk. Remove your time and attention. That's where asserting your standard by living it comes in. You're not discussing things. You cross the line, I'm fucking leaving. You don't have to say anything. You're removing your time and attention says everything, right? You maybe you tell her, you know what, grab an Uber. I'll see you later. And you fucking bounce, right? Maybe that's all you say. But even then, it's less is more, right? She knows she fucked up then. She'll end up trusting a man who shows more than he says, right? And what I mean by shows is his actions show. She'll trust a man whose actions speak louder than words. And honestly, it goes hand in hand with what we say about women, right? We always say, don't listen to what women say. Watch what they do. Their actions never lie. She's doing the same thing. In fact, women do this almost better than men, almost naturally, because women perceive tone and body language better than men do. Men are not that good at tone, and we are more direct communicators. The words coming out of our mouth is what we mean, right? Women aren't even listening to the words coming out of your mouth. They're listening to your tone and watching your body language, right? So actions actually do speak louder to them, right? Because you're actually speaking like women receive. You see how that works? Never be afraid to walk away either. Okay. Never be afraid to walk away. And that's a big thing. A lot of guys are afraid. They're afraid if they walk that they're somehow ruining things. It never even comes into their, it never even enters their mind that she's the one ruining things. You're setting a boundary. She might lose you. You don't have the frame. Like a lot of guys have the frame of, I might lose her. You need to have the frame of, if she fucks up, she's going to lose you. Have that frame. Have that mental frame. If she fucks up, she's going to lose you. It's on her to keep the relationship, right? That's where Ryan Stone's idea of relationships are the woman's job, right? She needs to be afraid of losing the high value man. Your only job is to become a guy that she's afraid to lose, right? Work on your value so much that she's afraid of losing you, right? If you're a guy that she doesn't care about losing anyway, because you're really kind of a mediocre guy and she could probably find another guy better. In fact, Steve in accounting, she thinks is already a better guy. You know what I mean? Like if she's at that level, like it doesn't matter what you do, right? So you have to, all this stuff is building your value so that you're a man that she's afraid to lose, right? Then never be afraid to walk away. Be the guy that's like, hey man, like you either get with the program or I'm fucking out of here, right? Have that mental frame. It's the strongest negotiating position, which we'll get into next. But guys, before we do that, do get in Beer Club, beer.comeonmanpod.com. I already mentioned it once, but we do have our monthly hangout tomorrow night. All right, go to beer.comeonmanpod.com. If you've been thinking about it, you can join now with a free trial. It's a 7-day free trial for everybody. If you like it, stay in the community. If you don't like it, cancel before you get billed. No harm, no foul. Okay, it's not for everybody. It's for guys who are serious about leveling up, though, because we're in there every day swapping notes, talking about what works, what doesn't. We have guys in there on all sorts of different levels that have been through where you are at right now. Okay. And they're all in there leveling each other up. And it's a very tight community. Okay. Very tight. Let me play a commercial for that. And then we'll get back to the topic today.
Here's a harsh truth that everybody gets upset about online when I say it. They get upset because of their ego investment into the fairy tale idea of love and partnership. They get upset because of their ego investment into the idea that their woman is their best friend, their confidant, and they think that love will conquer all, and that their woman will be there through thick and thin. The truth is that as a man, your woman is hardwired biologically and psychologically to want you to be her rock. It doesn't work the other way around. Women do not care about your struggles as a man. They may think they care. They may even want to care, but her evolutionary DNA will not let her care. If you bring her your problems, she will lose attraction for you over time, and she will leave. Now, whenever I talk about this, people lose their minds and start talking about men unaliving themselves. The faster that men learn that women don't care about our struggles, the faster we'll save the lives of men. Men off themselves because of their own ego investments in the Disney fairy tale line. And when that fairy tale goes up in flames, they get zeroed out and they end things. Men do need a proper outlet for dealing with their problems, but going to their woman isn't the answer. Men need a tribe. They need a brotherhood. That's why I created my beer club. It's a monthly virtual hangout for men only. It's a place where men can be men. It's a place where men can talk about guy stuff without having to worry about offending women. It's a place where they can go without having to worry about being called toxically masculine. It's a place where they can go to solve their problems. Because men solve problems. Women cause problems, you dig? Visit beer.comeonmanpod.com. That's beer.comeonmanpod.com to sign up.
Yes, indeed. And then, guys, I also do have one-on-one coaching available if you go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com, but read the book first, okay? Read the book first. Show me that you're willing to put some skin in the game, and then we can talk, okay? But if you're not even willing to try applying this stuff yourself, there's also an accompanying workbook, right? If you get this and you do the workbook, do that kind of stuff, and then give me a call, okay? You'll know what I'm about. You'll know how I can help you. You'll start applying the stuff, start seeing those changes, and then you'll know, okay, all right, Paul's legit. Paul's legit. Let's get to work, right? All right. Let's talk about mastering the art of silent frame. Silence as a negotiation weapon, right? This is one thing that I learned from Corey Wayne. I mentioned Corey Wayne a lot on the podcast. Aaron Clary gives me shit about it, but Corey's a mentor of mine, right? Like, I don't think Corey likes me very much, but that's neither here nor there. Still recommend his book. I don't care if he likes me or not. His book is good. It changed my life. And this whole podcast started out as a group for other guys that were studying his work anyway. That's where the name Come On Man comes from. But Corey quotes Michael Yon in How to Be a 3% Man. Michael Yon said that the strongest negotiating position is being willing to walk away and mean it. And mean it. And that's the thing that a lot of guys have a hard time with. A lot of guys have, they are not the guy that's willing to walk away. They are not. And that's why women file for 80% of the divorces, because women are more than willing to walk away, especially when things don't suit them, right? So think of it like this: silence as a negotiating weapon. Make your point, then stop. Make your point, then stop. Then let them talk themselves into your frame. Have you ever done that? You are communicating with somebody and they are over-explaining themselves. They're using a lot of big words, and then you just let them talk themselves in circles. Have you ever done that? That's kind of fun to do. I do that on social media a lot. I got a lot of trolls on social media. A lot of people are very insecure about my shaved head. Everybody on the internet is more insecure about my shaved head than I am, right? If I was super insecure about having a shaved head, I wouldn't have a shaved head. I would go get a hair transplant, or I'd go get Rogaine or something like that. No, I'm like, no, I'm just going to shave my fucking head, right? I like it. It's low maintenance. It's aerodynamic. But man, like, yeah, the trolls on the internet, they don't have anything. They don't have anything that they can argue against anything that I'm saying. So what do they go with? Oh, you're bald. All right. Or they'll make a hair club for men joke or whatever, you know? And so I just let them talk themselves in circles. You know, I'll just be like, I am ? I'm bald ? And then they'll start going off thinking that by saying more that it's bothering me more, but really I'm just getting them to engage with the content, which boosts me in the algorithm. You see, I'm letting them talk themselves into my frame, right? Most people fear silence and then they rush to fill it. They fear silence, so they rush to fill it. So you actually win by keeping the silence. This is where sales comes in, right? If you guys have ever done any sales, one of the things that I learned, I used to do door-to-door office supply sales. I talk about it in my first book. I used to do door-to-door office supply sales. I talked about it in Everything I Wish I Knew when I was 18. But one of the things they told me was when you close, right? When you go to close, you assume the sale. And after you're done closing, you shut the fuck up. Right? After you ask for the sale, you shut the fuck up. And just wait. And just wait. And they would say that the first person to talk loses. So the thing is when you're sales, if you go to close and then you're silent for a minute and they're silent and then that bothers you and you start talking and you start justifying the product more, it actually makes you look more insecure. It makes you look like you don't believe in the product and they're less likely to buy from you. So that's why you ask for the sale and then say, how do you want to pay for it? Do you want to put it on your credit card? Right? You're assuming the sale and then you shut the fuck up. And then you wait for them to speak. Okay. You'll actually, if you do sales, you'll actually get more sales by doing that. And it's the same thing because people fear the silence. They rush to fill it and you actually win by not talking first. It's fascinating. Try it out. Try it out in a conversation with somebody. Right. Whoever speaks first loses, especially in high stakes moments. It's where it's same thing in negotiations. You'll do that kind of thing. If you ever read books on negotiation, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Whoever speaks first loses. Conflict management. Shut the fuck up equals control. Words escalate tension, but silence diffuses it. Have you ever had been in a situation where the more you talk, the more agitated you got, the more agitated the other person got because you just kept saying shit to just really dig in and dig in and dig in, right? And so it just kept escalating. It just kept escalating more. I've been there. Like I'm pretty sure we've all been there. Like drop a 1 in the chat if you've been in a situation like that where either you said too much and it escalated, or they said too much and then that caused you to say too much and everything just went to hell in a handbasket after that. Like drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been there, right? But the funny thing is the opposite will diffuse it, right? If someone's getting up in their feels and you don't get pulled into their frame and you stay calm and cool and you say less, you'll actually reduce that tension, right? And you'll be able to de-escalate the situation. You'll diffuse the angry moment. That's where Luca comes in. Like if you do the Luca model, which I talk about in Get Her to Fuck You Again. But I learned that from Paul Benjamin. It's listen, understand, clarity, action. You're actually saying less, which we talked about earlier when Brother David asked the question about it. But you're actually saying less. And because you're saying less and you're just letting them get their shit off their chest, they start calming down because they start feeling heard and understood. Right? Women just want to feel heard and understood at the end of the day. They don't actually want a problem solved. They just want to feel heard and understood. Okay. So that's why the silence and talking less will actually diffuse that. Okay. Fogging and non-reactivity shows strength under pressure. This is where, all the tools that we learn from, like when I say no, I feel guilty, atomic attraction, agree and amplify, act indifferent, or fogging. Like fogging is very much like agree and amplify without the amplify. It's more like agreeing with indifference, right? But if you're not reactive to what they're saying, like even if they're throwing barbs at you and you're not taking the bait and not blowing up and getting mad at them, it actually shows strength under pressure. It shows that you're not able to be rattled, right? And that's when you're able to better deliver your boundaries. All right. You're better able to set and enforce boundaries when you're have good emotional control and you're not up in your feels and you actually want to set those boundaries with less words than you need to. You don't have to over communicate your boundaries. Okay. So you want to deliver your boundary with calm finality and then shut the fuck up. Right? Because if you over explain your boundary, if you sit there and say, I don't want you to do this, and this is why, and you give 1,000 reasons, and then you go off on like a PowerPoint presentation about why you need to set that boundary, they won't take it seriously, for one. And two, you're not setting a boundary. You're basically negotiating. You're saying, I would like it if you didn't do these things. Okay. But, right. And then they'll be like, no, I'm going to keep doing those things. But if you say it very clearly, like, I don't stay in relationships with women who go out with their slutty hoe friends to clubs. I don't do that. And then shut the fuck up. She can go if she wants, right? But you're not going to, she's not welcome to come back when she does. But you've delivered your boundary with calm finality, and then you shut the fuck up. I don't date women. I'm not in relationships with women who go out with their slutty sloot 304 friends. And then shut the fuck up. let her dig herself into a hole. Now, if she's sitting there all justifying that stuff, maybe that's telling you everything you need to know. All right. The last concept here is silent frame equals emotional calibration, right? Not every emotion needs a response. Sometimes stillness is the signal. This is the big thing that guys have a hard time with, is they tend to climb on their woman's emotional roller coaster. She's upset about something. She's frantic. She's, going around the house yelling and screaming or whatever. And so guys, wanting to keep the peace in the relationship, try to keep the happy wife, happy life dynamic, they can't stand it. They can't stand her not being in a happy state. So they get frantic. They climb on her emotional roller coaster. They try to solve all the problems. They try to squash that tension. Nah, her emotions don't always need a response. They don't. You don't need to climb on her emotional roller coaster. Right? She's clearly bothered by something. You can ask her, hey, there's something eating at you. What's eating at you? I don't want to talk about it. Okay, sure. You don't want to talk about it. What's really eating at you? I really don't want to talk about it. All right, fine. I'm over here if you want to talk about it, though. And then you fucking go about your business. But don't climb on her emotional roller coaster. You don't have to make her happy in the moment. Right? You'll find that if you're not chasing her, and that's one thing I don't like about Corey Wayne's book, right? One of the things he talks about in his book is really like bugging the shit out of his girl until she finally gets things off her chest. Bugging the shit out of her, and that's validation seeking behavior. That is now crossing the line to validation seeking behavior, right? Now you're chasing her. You're trying to squash that tension. You're trying to, that's nice guy behavior. Stop. Don't do that. Right? You might ask her, hey, you want to talk about it? No? You sure you don't want to talk about it? All right, fine. You'll find that if she really wants that, she'll chase your validation. She'll come find you. She'll come find you. Right? So silence as a litmus test. Does she come closer or pull away? Right? This is a good thing to test out. This is a good thing to test out. And anything I say on the podcast, anything I say in my books, I recommend don't take my word for it. Go try it out yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go try it out yourself. I was on a breakthrough call the other night, and this guy's like, all right, I want to see all your testimonials and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I can give you testimonials. But that doesn't prove anything. That doesn't actually prove anything. What will prove to you what I'm talking about is grab my book, start applying the principles, and start seeing the results for yourself, right? Treat it like a science experiment. Is this guy full of shit or not? Right? Listen to the podcast. Apply what I'm talking about on the podcast. Start testing out some of these theories, right? When it starts working, go, okay, maybe he's onto something here. Let me grab the book. Okay, yeah, no, the book's legit. Okay, yeah, maybe I want to work with him. You understand? Don't take my word for it. Testimonials are bullshit. Test this shit out yourself, okay? Body language becomes your language. Refine it until it speaks louder than words. And this goes hand in hand with how something like 95% of communication is actually subtext. It's actually tone and body language. And most of you guys aren't even aware of the body language that you're putting out. You know, like this kind of thing. If your girl is talking to you and you're like this, you're basically saying, I'm not fucking listening. I'm not listening to whatever you're saying. I'm waiting to speak. That's what she's hearing, right? That's when she sees that body language and your face like this. She's like, the words coming out of my mouth aren't getting through to him. He's not listening, right? Body language is important. Body language is very important. I talk about body language and Get Her to Fuck You Again. All right. That's all we got, guys. I mean, we got a whole bunch of comments here. Oh, we got another super chat. Let's see what else we got. Athol K also talks about willingness to walk away. Yeah, Athol K's book is really good. Yeah, Married Man Sex Life Primer. Highly recommend that. CJ says, can't completely ignore her chaos. Very dangerous. You have to at least acknowledge her ego. The ego just wants you to think it exists. This is females only lens. They do not have internal validation. Miles says, my music teacher used to say, when you master silence, you can hear jazz all around you. Ooh, that's deep. That's deep. Dottie says, what makes them sleuts? Dottie, what do you think makes them sleuts? What do you think makes them sleuts? I'll ask you that. We all know what a sleuty sleut is. We all know, Dottie. Guys, smash that like button. It's alpha. David says, if they didn't work, then I wouldn't reread them constantly. Thank you. Yeah, David's on his third pass of psychology paradigm now, I think. And then, so if her body language is arms crossed, is she just waiting to respond? Yeah. She's not listening anyway. Yeah, she's not fucking listening. If she's like this too, she's not fucking listening either, right? All right, guys, that's all I got for this episode. Hopefully it was helpful. Tune into the podcast Friday. We are going to talk about essential boundaries every man should establish in relationships. Right? Being able to enforce boundaries is a part of Frame, and Fridays are Frame Fridays. You don't want to miss that one. It should be a fun episode. I signed up, if you guys want to know, if you guys want some inside baseball on how I produce shows, I just signed up for vidIQ, which is a YouTube tool that helps you with like SEO, finding titles that people will click on, helping you like figure out if your thumbnails are good enough, that kind of shit, right? Because there's a lot of psychology with YouTube. You know, the shows that you watch, there's a reason why you click on them and stuff, right? And a lot of it, the psychology that the good content creators use is all based on titles and thumbnails. It's all titles and thumbnails. It's fascinating. And so anyway, this tool, vidIQ, actually has like a measurement system, and they'll tell you all this stuff. And they have this really fucking awesome tool. It's called Content Ideas. And they'll say, this type of content is hot right now. Right? So I'm like, oh, how can I adapt that for Frame Friday? And so that's what Friday's title is. And so we're making a whole show based on that. Inside baseball, Paul, the observer effect. Once you observe a process, it kills the process. Don't tell them how the sausages are made, right? They just want to eat the sausages. All right, guys, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. I have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you for everyone that sounded off in the comments. I appreciate you. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Oh, shit. We have another super chat. I forgot. Eric sent a $1 super chat. I'm going to give him this one. I don't think Eric's a Beer Club brother. I'm going to give him this one.
I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Yeah, he definitely fucks for sending that super chat. All right. Where am I at? Thanks for the super chats. Guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description. Get on the email list.comeonmanpod.com. Get the ebook, She's Made You Weak. And you'll also get like a bunch of other free ebooks on there. And then I'll mail you some stickers. If you don't want the stickers, just don't want stickers in the address field. Don't want stickers. No problem. Okay. And then get all my books on Amazon. If you go to books.comeonmanpod.com, all my books are available there. They're also available on Audible. If you go to the Amazon page, you can click the audio option and buy it directly on Amazon. That just is directly connected to Audible. And guys, join Beer Club. We have our hangout tomorrow night, 7 p.m. If you've been thinking about joining, now's the time. Go to beer.comeonmanpod.com. And then if you guys want one-on-one coaching, go to call.fixdeadbedrooms.com. That's cool if you want to do that, but I highly recommend reading the book first. Get Her to Fuck You Again. Start applying the stuff, do the workbook, and then book a call with me, okay? All right, that's all we got. We will see you guys on Friday.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.